Well, with the haka in progress behind us from Baseball New Zealand, we are just about set to go for game number 6 of the 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier from Panama City, our second of 2 elimination games here today at Estadio Rod Carew. A big one tonight as Argentina, losers last night, square off with New Zealand. First game in a couple of days for the Diamond Blacks. Hi, everybody. Welcome upstairs at Estadio Rod Carew alongside the former Major Leaguer and Team Australia participant Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mond. Ryan, we already saw one team move on today, a win in the early game this afternoon for Nicaragua, knocking out Pakistan tonight. Another winner moving on and another loser going home.
Yeah, both these teams have had a couple issues to start this. Obviously, Argentina, they had to go up against Panama, who we saw last night was a powerhouse. And New Zealand, when you think about it, you go back to that first inning of that first game. Ben Thompson just didn't have any answers, put him on the back foot early. So I think there's going to be a little bit different matchup for them tonight.
Let's take a look at this bracket and where we sit right now, moving into game number 6 of this 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier with spots in the World Baseball Classic on the line. Brazil and Panama, they are already off until Tuesday for the first ticket to the 2023 WBC. The winner of this game will match up with Nicaragua in game number 7. That'll be our first game on Tuesday. The loser from that matchup will meet the loser from game 8. And that'll be in Wednesday's final contest of this 2022 pool field. And 2 pools, we've already crowned a couple of ticket winners to the 2023 WBC in Great Britain and the Czech Republic. Ryan, the 16 modified double elimination tournament, you're a big fan.
I love it. I think it's great. The fact that you have 2 teams qualifying, therefore it doesn't come down to that last game where both teams are kind of playing for nothing. Every game counts. We talked to Brian Matters before the ex-big league. We talked about this to him before the game, talking about the fact that New Zealand, essentially, you have to win 3 games regardless. So they lost that first one. Now they just have to win 3 in a row, and they'll be good to go. But tough matchup, Argentina. I think they match up well against these guys, but it gets tougher and tougher when you talk in Nicaragua, Brazil, and, of course, Panama.
Plate meeting for these 2 managers as we head into game number 6 of the 2022 qualifier. The man on the right of your screen is Rolando Arnedo, the manager of this Argentina team. He is out of Salta, Argentina, and works in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization. And the Diamond Blacks manager on the other side is Scott Campbell, a guy who climbed all the way to the highest rungs of minor league baseball and was aiming to be the first New Zealander to play in the big leagues. He didn't get there. He's hoping somebody from this next generation will.
Yeah, for Scott Campbell too. I mean, you talk about this country in New Zealand. Majority of the team born and raised in New Zealand. They all know each other. He has had some help for some top-tier coaches. You think about, Josh Bard being the bench coach and Chris Woodward being the manager going back to that last qualifier. And for Scott Campbell, he has the chance to hold the reins for this team. He knows all these players really well. He does have some good coaching help. But this team, New Zealand, man, I think they're in a good spot after that first game against Brazil.
And let's take a look at Scott Campbell's lineup for game number 2 for this New Zealand squad. Jason Matthews leading off. He is followed by that really impressive young shortstop, Nico Puaka-Grego, who we saw in day number 1 of this tournament just dazzle on defense. Offensively, he hit a home run in the 8th inning as this team tried to claw back in an eventual 12-7 loss to Brazil. But there's power throughout this lineup and some depth throughout this lineup. The 9-hole hitter Maxwell Brown had a bases clearing double. And on the other side, starting pitcher for Argentina tonight is the right-hander Federico Robles.
And Robles, we haven't seen him yet in this qualifier. He has been a part of Team Argentina for a long time. He's 28 years old, and he's played in the junior program. Of course, they haven't been to the qualifiers just yet. This is their first time. We're going to get that first look at Robles. Did play in Italy, and the defense behind him, you mentioned this New Zealand team. It's going to get some good offense, 7 runs that first game.
Defensively behind him, Sebastian Garcia will anchor the outfield for this squad. It's Teixeira and Televi, a couple of impressive middle infielders. And Lucas Nakandakari is back in there behind the plate. He got the start on day number 1 for Argentina, was out of the lineup last night as Argentina took a loss and really just got swept under by that brilliant performance by the host nation Panama, and Nakandakari back there to receive the tosses from Federico Robles.
Yeah, I think with Panama, we saw last night, this place was packed. And when you look at this situation with the time of year it is, who are you going to have available? What professional players are you going to have available? Because, of course, obviously in the U.S., it's still the regular season. But, man, it was a powerful lineup last night and some really good pitching as well.
So we are just about ready to go for our second game of the day as the leadoff man for New Zealand is ready to step in, and that is the shortstop Jason Matthews, another really talented prospect up the middle infield for this New Zealand team.
I mentioned Jason Matthews. He's with the Chicago White Sox. A little bit more of a late start playing professional baseball, but really talented leadoff hitter here for New Zealand.
2 for 3 in his first performance of this World Baseball Classic Qualifiers. New Zealand looks to make its way through the qualifiers for the first time, and for Argentina, first time in the qualifiers at all. These two teams, the World Baseball Classic dream will stay alive for one of them. The other one going home and trying to plan for 4 years from now how to tackle this task again once we get to the 6th edition of the World Baseball Classic, which would be the 4th edition of the qualifiers. 1 ball and no strikes, going to 2 balls and no strikes on Jason Matthews. Started at 7:05 in the evening tonight, and a little bit more mellow crowd, obviously, than what we had last night with the host nation in the house, but a nice night for baseball here in Panama City.
And they were excited. You mentioned last night, waiting a long time to see their favorite players, some of their hometown heroes here on home soil. Had some of Tyler Mon's favorite musicians in the house as well.
Just all of the guys on my Spotify.
That's right.
Everybody was here. Dimelo Flo, the DJ, was in the DJ booth. And by the DJ booth, I mean the booth 3 doors away from us that was converted into the DJ booth last night. It was very cool.
It was pumping.
Full count to the leadoff man here, Jason Matthews, as Robles, who pitches professionally in Italy for Torino, gets a swing and a miss for strike 3, and the leadoff out puts down Matthews on strikeout number 1.
And Robles showing some good velocity here up in the strike zone. He's got that low 3/4 arm slot. Slip behind the count, but big strikeout. I think for Argentina, it's about setting that tone early. Let's not forget, they, like you said, Tyler, they got whitewashed last night. Just trying to get their heads together after that game against Panama here against New Zealand.
So 1 gone. And that brings in the uber-talented second baseman, Nico Puaka-Grego. We were talking with Brian Mattis, the bullpen coach of this squad, prior to the game today, and he said the thing that was most surprising to him about Puaka-Grego, who mashed this home run on Friday off the foul pole, he said, I didn't realize he was 18.
Yeah, this is a slider. Supposed to get to that back foot. Nico said, Get out in front, crushed it.
He lofts this one out into shallow right center, falling in a hurry, and it's down for a base hit. So the first knock of the day for Baseball New Zealand as Puaka-Grego puts himself on the 1-out single.
He had a good year, hitting above 300 with the Phillies, rookie ball. Again, he's only 18 years old, first time in professional baseball this year.
That brings in the third baseman, Chayton Krause. Krause batted in the 2-hole on Friday, and he went 1 for 5 with a double, scored on Puaka-Grego's homer. The guy behind him, Sam Kennelly, went 0 for 4. So those two guys, obviously, Scott Campbell would love to see a breakout day from his 3 and 4 hitters tonight. Puaka-Grego and Krause flipping spots in the lineup. Nico in the 2 spot this evening. Swing and a miss as he's behind on that one. It's 0-2.
Yeah, the top of this lineup for New Zealand is potent. You mentioned, obviously, Puaka-Grego, and we look at Krause and then Kennelly. There is some thump. Put up a crooked number for sure, but go back to that second inning, that 3-run bases-clearing double from the 9-hole hitter.
Shallow right, and Televi is the one to make the catch.
I mean, I'm talking about against Brazil, that first game. Brazil put up a 4th spot in that first inning. And we're thinking to ourselves, okay, how's this going to go right now? And then all of a sudden, 4-3 quickly in that second inning. Maxwell Brown getting his team on the board.
Yeah, that really was, we're getting rolling on game number 1, and don't know a ton about these teams. We know a lot of these names. We know a lot of these players, but you never know in a tournament-style format when these guys haven't played together before. You don't really know how these things are going to play out. And Brazil puts up a 4 spot in the first, and, yeah, we were really kind of thinking, man, is this going to turn into an ugly game? And New Zealand responded immediately. And then, even after Brazil distanced itself with 2 in the 4th, and 6 in the 7th. New Zealand came back, put 4 on the board in the 8th to make that thing interesting down the stretch. And an eventual 12-7 win for Brazil. As Sam Kennelly digs in from the right-handed side. And a pop-up foul ground first base side. Jacinto Cipriota got a late start, but with that one a lot of loft under it, he's able to get to it and put it away, and that retires the side. Walker Grego left aboard after the one-out single. We're going to the bottom of the 1st in Panama City. New Zealand gone scoreless in the top of the 1st inning, and here is Argentina's starting lineup as announced by Rolando Arnedo. This has been a lineup that has been up and down through 2 games. Sebastian Garcia is the leadoff man. Televi bats 3rd, the second baseman. Then Cipriota and Zerbergen, who have been impressive. Nakandakari, the catcher, hits in the 5-hole. And rounding out the order is Lucas Stallman. Didn't get a start on night number 1. He has now started the last 2 games. And that 9 set to go against the left-handed pitcher Ryan Sanders for New Zealand.
After Ryan Sanders attends St. Mary's College, going into his 3rd year. Left-handed pitcher. Hasn't had a start yet at the collegiate level. Had 5 starts in the summer league, but here he is. Pitcher for Team New Zealand.
Lancaster, California native, but some New Zealand heritage in his background. 30 appearances in his collegiate career, and really improved from 2021 to 2022 as a bouncing ball out towards short is hoovered up over there by Jason Matthews. 1 up, 1 down. Yeah,
I think what's really important for this New Zealand team, you go back to that first game against Brazil, you know, the 4-run first inning. I think Ben Thompson, who was, you know, kind of that guy in that rotation, just did not get off to a good start, was not throwing strikes, and it really put him in a massive hole early. So I think for Ryan Sanders, ton of strikes, get ahead in the count, attack these hitters. There's not going to be a whole lot of threat, nothing he can't handle. Get as deep as he can in this game.
Agustin Teixeira sharing a fist bump with Tiwara Bishop and our home plate umpire František Prbil. All these players, it's obviously a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of competitiveness in all of these games, but they're also really enjoying the moment as Teixeira rockets this one out toward right. And a nice job by Chris Richards, who was pulled in a little bit, racing back to make that play. 2 gone.
Yeah, the other part of throwing strikes too, what that gives Ryan Sanders a chance to keep that pitch count in order. You don't have to fire up that bullpen second, third, fourth inning here against Argentina. Remember, when you get into that losers bracket, it is a tougher road because you have the more games, more innings. You have to expend that bullpen so much more. Yeah, you said this earlier, Tyler. Different feel for Argentina coming into this game compared to last night. Packed house, facing Humberto Mejia.
Yeah, this is a much more neutral environment, to say the least, for Argentina. We had quite a big crowd in the house last night, and that Argentina team, they just got pulled under very quickly. 1-0 pitches up high, 2 balls and no strikes. And understandably so as well. I mean, that's a really, really talented team on the other side from Panama, and they jumped out quickly and early. Got a run in the bottom of the second, 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 6 in the fifth on the way to an 11-0 win in front of over 5,000 in the house last night. To Levy now facing a 3-1 count.
Yeah, that's one thing. You know, Ryan Sanders, looking back at some of the numbers he put up, St. Mary's, command could be an issue. That's one thing. 6 walks per 9 in his last game. His last year. You said he improved, Tyler. The one thing, though, keeps that control under wraps. Man, he's got some good stuff. Fastball, slider. You saw that big slider early. That's what I'm talking about here. You kind of see him flying over that ball, getting away from him.
So 2 gone. Jacinto Cipriota, the first baseman, steps in. Cipriota, a .286 hitter through his first couple of games here in Panama City. Two balls and no strikes on him.
And again, getting in those deep counts, 2-0, 3-0.
Sanders, the St. Mary's Gale, kicks and comes home, and a line drive out to left field. Sam Kennelly on rushing, diving, and makes the catch. Or did he? It looks like it might be a trap. Kennelly now throwing back in behind the runner, and Boaka Grego thought he had him at second. And I believe New Zealand will call for the review, at least on the catch.
Yeah, right away you can see Sam Kennelly putting his hands up to his ears as if say, put the headphones on. Oh.
That is a trap.
Yeah, he trapped it.
One hop into the glove. So great effort by Kennelly out and left, but that's going to go as a base hit. Nearly was able to get to Levy heading back to the bag at second as well. Cipriota will be on with a 2-out single. So 2 quick outs and now back-to-back base runners. You know, I think Kennelly may have genuinely thought he caught that because he wasn't looking. You know, you're diving at that point, the ball is moving so quickly in toward your body. You don't necessarily see that last moment when the ball's coming in. Here it is once more. There you can see the bounce.
Yeah, you're right. You got to take your head off it, or you kind of close your eyes, bracing for impact. Then you feel the ball in your glove. You think to yourself, yeah, I got this, but
yeah,
definitely hit the ground.
Sam Kennelly, a former infielder when he was a prospect in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, played on the left side of the infield, primarily a third baseman. And safe is the call. So first and second with 2 gone now, and the inning will continue for Eduardo Zurbriggen.
This is tough if you're Ryan Sanders, and I think it's not so much obviously the situation now. You lose the out and you got runners on base, of course, but yeah, psychologically, you're right behind you. You listen to some infielders, and Sam Kennelly, who was convinced he caught that ball, and obvious for us, he was convinced because straight away he said, "Hey, check the replay." So you're feeling like, okay, I think he caught that ball. I'm good here. I've got 2 outs, got a runner on first, etc. Now all of a sudden you got to press that reset button, get back in the strike zone.
And it also erases the challenge for New Zealand from the rest of the way, at least until we get to the 8th, when managers can request that umpires look at plays, but they do not automatically get to initiate a review on the challenge. Ball and no strikes on Zerbriggen. This was a quick start to this inning. Ground out by Sebastian Garcia. Fly out from Agustin Teixeira. I believe all of that on 4 or 5 pitches for the lefty Sanders. And now Argentina threatening here in the bottom of the first.
And you can see Ryan Sanders consistently missing up in the strike zone. At 12 to 15 seconds, you've got to use them in between pitches. Take that extra breath. Just make that quick little mechanical cue. Make that adjustment.
3 balls and no strikes. You can't win or lose a game really in a first inning, but you can set a tone for a game. And Ryan Sanders very much out on a good foot, those first 2 hitters, but now in danger of loading the bases here with 2 gone. Being very careful with Zerbriggen. Powers in fastball there, 3-1.
It's not about just trying to make a perfectly executed pitch. It's just about getting back in the zone. It's just about getting that feel. All right, I'm back in the strike zone. I see the umpire gesture to call that strike call, and all right, I'm good. I can build off that.
3-1. Strike 2.
There you go. Like we talked about, it doesn't have to be that perfect pitch. You can see this pitch up in the zone a little bit, but it works. Now all of a sudden it's 3-2. Starting to feel through those mechanics just a little bit, just enough. Make a big pitch here with two runners on.
Sanders kicks and deals, runners moving, and that one shot foul off the facing of that New Zealand dugout. So Levy worked the 2-out walk. He went to second on the single by Cipriota. And Sanders looks him back to second now. Three-two pitch. Runners moving again. Slow roller over toward third. Jayton Krause in, got it on a good high. Goes in, gets the out at first. However, immediately, Nicolas Solari, the first base coach for Argentina, wants this reviewed, and we will see if Rolando Arnedo decides to go that way, and he will. We're going to have 2 challenges here in the first inning, as this umpiring crew will go to take a look at it. That is a tremendous job over at first by Daniel Lamb Hunt if he was able to hold the bag.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you can see the trajectory of that throw, and you think to yourself, okay, do I get off the bag with 2 feet and try and get in front of it? You do have runners on in scoring position, so you want to make sure it doesn't get past you. But the fact that he was instinctively able to keep the foot on and get out there knowing he had enough height right there to make that stretch, to make the play, we'll see. I'm sure we'll get another look at this if that foot stayed on that bag.
Daniel Lamb Hunt, not the biggest target over at first base. He's listed at 5'11", but man, that was a great job on that stretch. And this is one of those plays where 2 things. One, we have to point out that the call on the field is out. So the evidence to overturn it has to be clear and convincing. But right there, that foot has to still be on the bag. That's when the foot comes off, and the out call is confirmed. Our umpiring crew with a couple of quick reviews here in the first, and each team now has lost its challenge in the first. And after a scoreless first, we head to the second. New Zealand and Argentina locking horns here in Panama City. Pre-game here tonight in Panama City, our second look at the haka for Baseball New Zealand. The ceremonial pre-game dance performed by New Zealand's teams across all different sports disciplines. Ryan, you being a native Australian, you have seen the haka performed more than one time. That is I had a friend, a baseball friend, you know, you'd come across people who you'll hear from every once in a while. They know you're working an event or something, and baseball people you haven't even heard from for a little while. A buddy who I worked with in the minor leagues texted me the video of New Zealand's haka from 2 days ago against Brazil and said, so I assume teams just forfeit after they see New Zealand do this, because this is so intimidating. As the bouncing ball goes back to the mound, it'll be a leadoff out. The guy who was leading it, one of the plate, Tiwara Bishop, who is retired. But that is a really moving thing, and it's a very respectful, traditional thing for New Zealand's teams. It's derived from Maori culture. That is a really amazing thing to see in person. Yeah,
I mean, it really is, especially, you know, obviously the most famous ones come from the All Blacks, you know, up against some of the other rugby greats. But I remember being a kid and sitting there watching that, you know, with my family, thinking, man, like, it's intimidating. It really is. And it's not something to disrespect the other team. It's
right.
Not, it is, you know, I guess you can call it intimidation because it looks that way, but it's more about, you know, more of a team within the team type, call it a ceremony if you want. But I love it, man. I think it's great.
You're showcasing respect for your opponents. And, you know, one thing that was really cool about today is Argentina's entire team came out, put their arms around each other, and watched from the first base side and then applauded when it was over. Brazil's team the other day, a lot of applause after the haka wound up. And the other thing that's really amazing about it is that is a baseball-specific haka. The haka is kind of tailored to, there are different versions of it for different things. As you see, Federico Robles a little bit frustrated here with the strike zone as the count runs to 3-0 on Connor O'Gorman. But, yeah, man, that is so cool.
Yeah, it is. And, I mean, I didn't know that until just a few days ago. The fact that, you know, they have a baseball-specific haka. I honestly thought it was all the same one.
3-0 pitch there for a strike to O'Gorman, 3-1. Pretty incredible. The video of that rocketed around the internet on Friday after MLB posted it. The first haka of this World Baseball Classic. We saw that a few years ago when New Zealand took part in the Classic, the qualifying rounds over the last couple of editions as well. Three balls and two strikes on O'Gorman. He tags this one to center. Sebastian Garcia into the alleyway. Two going.
And already for Team New Zealand, we're starting to see some good, loud contact. You know, too, and talking to Ryan Flynn, who was instrumental in building this program, this Team New Zealand, and you know, some of from phase 1 into phase 2, and you know, building from the ground up. He just wrote me a message talking about all the kids learn the haka. When you get into, you know, this baseball program, you have to know it. You can see the entire team out there. It's not a situation where, you know, you see Ryan Sanders, who has, you know, a New Zealand parent who's pitching tonight. It's not like, hey, listen, man, you can sit this one out because you grew up in California. No, no, no. You have to learn it. Have to get the moves down, the words down, and dive into it.
Big cut and miss there from Chris Richards. Talking with Brian Mattis pregame, the bullpen coach for Scott Campbell's staff, and he said, yeah, everybody knew it. We got to practice the first day they did the haka. Everybody knew it. I figured we'd have to have some sort of instructional plan for this, as Richards lifts one into left field. Coming in is Lucas Stallman, and a quick and quiet top of the second inning here in Panama City. We're scoreless through 1.5, New Zealand and Argentina. The roots of baseball in New Zealand go back as far as anyone else in this World Baseball Classic Qualifier. 1881, the sport of baseball is first played in New Zealand. The Chicago White Sox played as part of an exhibition tour later in the 1880s. The sport started to grow in the middle of the 20th century during the Second World War. U.S. Marines stationed in New Zealand played and kind of popularized the game, and baseball in New Zealand just continues its growth in recent years as this team aims to qualify for its first ever World Baseball Classic. And this would really be a transformative thing. We've talked about that from the standpoints of, countries like Argentina, like New Zealand, Pakistan, obviously, even the Czech Republic, which qualified from Europe in our qualifier 2 weeks ago. These are transformative moments for these national team programs. If you can make it through, all of a sudden the visibility, the funding, the increased participation in your sport, this is a massive deal.
Really is, especially for that man right there, Scott Campbell. I mean, look, he was the face of baseball in New Zealand. He's still the guy that all the kids look up to. I mean, you think about it too. I mean, you mentioned early in the opening, he got all the way to AAA. He was part of the MLB Futures game for representing New Zealand on the world team.
Great effort there by Puaka Grego, but a leadoff single for Nakandakari.
But you look at having multiple hip surgeries. Doctors just could not diagnose it, and all of a sudden didn't quite get to the big leagues. But, man, he is the face of baseball New Zealand. A lot of these kids look up to him and aspire to be in the same position he was.
So that'll bring up the 7-hole hitter, Matias Robles. I also learned something else tonight. You, my broadcast partner, a native of Australia, next-door neighbors with New Zealand. The flags so similar, and you said, what the difference is? I did not, and you told me that New Zealand's flag, which has the astronomical pattern of the Southern Cross, actually has 2 fewer stars than Australia's flag, and I also just noticed Australia's flag has 7 pointed stars, whereas New Zealand's stars have 5 points. So a couple of differences, whereas, you look at the flags and you see them on an Olympic background or see them at the World Baseball Classic or whatever, and you think, it's kind of the same. It's just New Zealand has red stars and Australia has white. Not the case.
Yeah.
And I learned something
And
today.
I wanted to test you. You are a wealth of knowledge, Tyler. You really are. But I was like, oh, man. I've been trying to pick my time here to ask you that, to kind of quiz you a little bit. You lived in Australia?
I did.
You've seen that flag plenty?
I know the words of the national anthem, Advance Australia Fair. I think it's beautiful. I do not know the words to New Zealand's national anthem.
And that set of stars on the New Zealand flag and on the Australian flag too, but that's the Southern Cross. Essentially, it's a pattern of stars in the sky you can only see from Australia and New Zealand.
Southern Hemisphere specific, which is pretty cool. 1-2 pitch. It's on the inside corner, called strike 3. First strikeout of the evening for Ryan Sanders.
Ryan Sanders starting to settle in. St. Mary's College has got a fastball, getting better and better command with that pitch. We talked about early in the first inning, missing up a ton. Sometimes you just got to get back in the dugout. You got the adrenaline cranking through the roof. You're pitching with a bunch of guys who really you've only just met. Mentioned the fact he did grow up in California. He does have the New Zealand parent. That's the lineage. And again, we talk about some of these teams that have born and raised players in their country. We talked about that South Africa last time out. Obviously, Team Australia, the same thing. Czech Republic, New Zealand for the most part as well. Let's not forget, there's only 5 million people in that country.
Broken bat, bouncer back to the mound, and man, oh man, Ryan Sanders nearly started as good of a 1-4-3 double play as you will see. But Andres Kim, great hustle, he beats it out.
Yeah, showing some athleticism right here, throwing that ball off balance to a moving target down at second base. Look at that broken bat. This is a tough play because, like I said, Puaka Grego still not at the bag, so you don't have that firm target to throw to. Didn't have a whole lot of time either.
Puaka Grego just continues to be electric with everything that he does. I mean, even the single through the right side to lead off this inning, the amount of ground that he covered, the full-out dive. He didn't get there to make that play, but he nearly did, and very few second basemen can. And even there, the way he flies across the bag, that footwork with his body moving away from first base to be able to make that throw accurately, he is so impressive.
Yeah, and there's a presence there as well. I think, for a lot of these the Australian, New Zealand kids, and I met Puaka Grego in Melbourne where he lives in the off-season. A few years back, I remember he did have that presence. He's obviously a big prospect. A lot of scouts watching him. But when you get that first year under your belt of rookie ball, and you do have some success, and he did. He put up some really good numbers with the Phillies, put himself on the map once you get there. And all of a sudden, you just have all kinds of confidence. You feel like you can just play at that next level. You come to events like this, and you represent New Zealand. It's that good feeling, man. You feel like you're one of the guys.
Runner bluffs from first. A swing and a miss there for Lucas Stallman. Yeah, for a player like Nico Puaka Grego, so often the discussion is, well, is he going to be able to handle professional pitching? Because you see so much less in terms of just regular at-bats when you come from a non-baseball country. His first professional season, 35 games in rookie ball, he batted .301, 424 on-base percentage, 466 slugging percentage for an 18-year-old, 890 OPS. And in the complex leagues at 18 years old, that is a really impressive debut season. He also, and this might be even more impressive, he walked as many times as he struck out. And speaking of striking out, Lucas Stallman does there, and that sends us to the third. Good start to this one. We're scoreless through 2 between New Zealand and Argentina. Eight, 9, and 1 for New Zealand as we head to the top half of the third inning. Back at Estadio Rod Carew in Panama City, Panama. Tyler Mon, Ryan Rowland-Smith. New Zealand set to send the first baseman Daniel Lamb Hunt, the center fielder Max Brown, and the shortstop Jason Matthews. That's a pretty cool souvenir to come away with.
For sure. Shattered bat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Broken handle, no big deal. Put that up in your room.
It's a little cooler as a souvenir to get a broken bat than it is just a full bat. Broken bat has a story behind it.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice
little tool to break up the ice, stick out of the freezer.
That works. You could terrorize a sibling. I'm sure that's what I would have done if I was that age and got a broken bat. First pitch is upstairs to Daniel Lamb Hunt. 1 ball and no strikes. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about your hitting skills. Former big league pitcher, a guy who played the majority of his career in the American League and in American League systems. But I did read you had not 1 but 2 hits in a spring training game. First of all, what spring training game exists in which you're getting 2 hits? Why do you have multiple at-bats in a spring training game?
Well, I'll tell you the story. First of all, we take batting practice in spring training. Yeah, okay. They said, hey, man, you better take a few swings, you know, and I had to do it in front of people. So I was very nervous in a long time. I think it was 17 the last time I picked up a bat. I literally wasn't even making contact. It was bad.
Now, when you were young, before you signed professionally, did you crush? Were you one of those guys? Like, obviously, you got signed as a pitcher. Were you a good hitter as a young player?
Well, it depends who's asking.
Let's say we're asking on international television. What story do you want to tell here?
You know, I could hit okay. I mean, put it this way, they had my state, the New South Wales Academy of Sport, Institute of Sport, excuse me, at that time, and I was a two-way player for that. But it got to a point where we had a long time and a big mentor of mine, Andre Desjardins, who was a coach. He was a Canadian.
Yeah.
Came down. He was fantastic. He made a lot of big changes for a lot of people's careers. That is for sure. And he had a really good program. They got to a point where he just said, "Look, you're a big strong kid, but your swing is not gonna cut it." Put it that way. Sure enough. And
he didn't get to have this career in baseball, signing with the Mariners out of high school in New South Wales. Silver medalist. Made his big league debut in 2007, where he struck out Ken Griffey Jr. for his first batter and out-recorded in the big leagues. And not coincidentally, we met in early April of 2014. You played your final game like a week later. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
It was the curse.
Yeah, you cursed me. That's right. But and sure enough, I went down to Tucson. That's back when when Tucson had spring training. And I was facing Jason Marquis. I remember it. He had that turbo sinker. I'm like, man, I can handle this. The first pitch I saw, I can see this ball pretty well.
Bunt down, third base side. Max Brown trying to race his way aboard, and he does. Max Brown with the right idea, seeing that Andres Kim was dropped back at third, and he puts a perfect bunt down the third base line for a one-out bunt single.
I'll tell you what, Maxwell Brown, we talked about this in the first game, that big bases clearing double, put a 3 spot up, and here he's showing off those wheels, making something happen, getting on base. But anyway, I'll get to the end of this story, so I don't have to drag it out. But basically, I'm facing Jason Marquis. He was an all-star that year with the Rockies.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, it's got some sink on it, but I can see it.
It's like 08?
I think 2009. 2009, that's right. And I remember, and sure enough, I took my biggest swing of my life, super late, base hit down the left field line. The whole dugout came out, the whole bench, the whole team came out of the dugout like I just won the World Series. It was hilarious. I just put my hands up like this.
No big deal, fellas. I got this.
And I remember Sal Fasano tried to backpick me the next pitch.
That is amazing. But then you had another hit same day?
Yeah, 2 for 2.
He
tried to throw me a changeup. Like, I can see that.
I got this.
Yeah.
The greatest Cactus League hitter of all time. Runner off of the pitch. Swinging a drive in the air to center field. Garcia's got a read on this, but it's going to fall in front of him. So a base hit for Jason Matthews after the bunt single for Max Brown. And New Zealand with something brewing in the top of the third. It's first and second, one out.
Tell you what, Jason Matthews, we talked about him being a prospect with the Chicago White Sox. He's got a good short swing. Trying to do a hole-up base hit. Maxwell Brown just holding up in case catch was made.
Yeah, for Brown, probably a little bit of a moment of anxiety. He was off on that pitch. He was already basically all the way to second base when Sebastian Garcia got close to that ball, but Garcia unable to make the catch. So now, arguably the best bat in this lineup, Nico Puaka-Grego stands in with a chance to get his team onto the board. Single through the right side in his first trip at the plate.
This is a big at-bat right here for New Zealand. Puaka-Grego, who's a huge threat. We've already seen the home run that first game. Key here, though, you've got to be patient. Do not go chasing pitches outside the strike zone.
Puaka-Grego's 2 hits in the opener of this qualifier went to the right side. A single, he reached on an infield single to second base. That was more up the middle in the third inning of that game, and he homered down the right field line off the foul pole. So Argentina is shifting on him. Not a super dramatic shift, but shortstop Teixeira shaded over towards second base, and Ezekiel Televi way off the bag at second. 1-1. 2-1.
Yeah, just like that. Good at bat, not chasing. His eyes aren't lighting up on anything out over the plate. Get yourself in a good count. This is a situation, man, where he should be comfortable. This is velocity he can definitely handle. Drive something into the gap.
Phillies prospect lifts this one back our direction. 2-2. Puaka Grego, much like Ryan Rowland-Smith, and Daniel Lamb Hunt in this lineup, hyphenated last name. Nico, born in Christchurch, now a member of the Philadelphia Phillies system, one of 3 affiliated players on this roster. The guy out at first base is another one. White Sox prospect Jason Matthews, as Ryan noted. And a ground ball over toward first, and it's off the heel of the glove of Cipriota. Puaka Grego runs well, but he is thrown out. So Cipriota able to recover and get the out, but the grounder will advance both men into scoring position, or one station further in Brown's case. And now an opportunity with 2 men in scoring position for Chayton Krause.
Well, that's a good play from Cipriota, staying with that ball, bouncing out of the glove, knocking it down, and getting after it. They needed an out. Argentina did in this inning with the meat of this lineup. And you got Chayton Krause here. Big opportunity, still 2 out. Drive something in.
Yeah, and how about that effort from Puaka Grego flying up the first baseline with that headfirst slide? We have watched him for all of not even 12 full innings of baseball. It is real easy to fall in love with him as a baseball player. No balls and a strike on Krause. Puaka Grego just does all the things you like. He plays this game really hard and with a lot of passion. And even though that one was an out, it turns into a somewhat productive out as he advances the runners at least. No one to Krause. Late on another one, 0-2. Sam Kennelly in the on-deck circle if it gets to him. Robles ready. 0-2 pitch. This is a max effort type of delivery from Robles. You can hear that grunt every time he lets a pitch go. He is putting everything into these offerings, this New Zealand lineup, as he faces his first real jam of the night. The Italian Baseball League right-hander comes set. 1-2 pitch. On the ground, out towards short. Should be routine for Tessera, whose throw is low, and a nice dig over there by Cipriota, who makes 2 really nice plays to keep this thing scoreless. We're headed to the bottom of the 3rd inning in Panama City. Still nothing on the board for New Zealand or Argentina.
Environment is so festive.
Microphone 1 2 1 2. Pack the whole place.
The fans here enjoying what they're seeing at this time.
Marching to the World Baseball Classic.
Leadoff man for Argentina as we head into the bottom of the third inning is the leadoff man in the batting order, Sebastian Garcia, who will get things started here after 9 men batted. Nobody across for Argentina through the first 2 innings at the dish. Same on the other side for New Zealand through their first 3 innings. And we head to the bottom of the third. You know, we watched that WBC qualifier promo video, and we're coming down to the end of this, as disappointing as that is. We got 2 more days of baseball left after today, but they show that glory shot of Armin Wolf Baseball Arena in Germany, and I thought, like, I miss it. I miss Regensburg.
I do, man.
I love Panama. I miss Regensburg. This has been an awesome couple weeks.
I got to say this. I got done at Regensburg and had to go straight back to work with the Mariners and do some TV and radio. And, you know, I was excited to get back, don't get me wrong, to see some, my Mariners as they, go towards clinching their first playoff berth in 21 years. But I will say this. I got off that plane from Germany and, right back into it. And I was thinking that I was watching the Major League game, but I was like, man, I kind of miss my new crew here.
It's just a different
Tyler and
feel.
Tim, and to have that Regensburg, so much fun. And you talk about a non-baseball country, in Germany, and the fact that you have a place like Regensburg, you'll never go there. For me, I would never would have gone there, right?
Right.
I'm sure it's a tourist destination, but when are you going to get time to go there? But there you are, and they have this baseball community. Everyone came out, and the amount of characters we met and ran into, and it was so much fun, man. What a great week.
2-2 pitches fouled away. Here is what transpired in Regensburg in the German region of Bavaria. 2 teams qualifying for the World Baseball Classic for the first time ever. Great Britain and the Czech Republic, and you can see the Czechs. They did it the hard way. They dropped their first game to Spain, came into game 5, beat France, beat Germany, beat Spain in the rematch. So they did what this New Zealand team is trying to do. Lose your first game, win 3 to make it all the way through. And for Argentina, opening this bracket with a victory and then dropping game number 2, they also are trying to go through that loser's bracket now. And, these are backs to the wall types of games, and this one is already playing out like a 3-2 bounced over to first. Daniel Lamb Hunt will race it to the back, 1 up, 1 down.
Too, we said that towards one of those final days in Germany. We said, hey, we still haven't seen that upset yet.
Yeah.
And you think about Czech Republic, the fact they went down so hard to Spain that first game. They've got them on that last day. Came back and beat them the way they did, man. It was special.
Brian Anderson, the pitching coach, out from the third base dugout as Agustin Teixeira gets set to step in. It is not quite as simple with the WBC and the World Baseball Classic qualifiers that, well, pitching coach is coming out. That means there won't be a pitching change, because we have seen pitching coaches do it. We've seen assistant sort of bench coaches make pitching change, and obviously managers as well. This does look like it's just a conversation between Anderson and his left-hander Ryan Sanders, but might be something to provide a little bit more time for that righty to warm in the bullpen. That's Mitchell Hewson.
Yeah, and a big factor of this, and we've talked about this a lot, and it is important. It's not just a situation where, there's pitch regulations. This really plays into the strategy, how you use your pitches. And we're going to see more of this in March too. But you look at this. Pitcher throws 30-plus pitches. He has to rest for the day. Pitcher throws 50-plus. It's 4 days. So, for Sanders, for this example right here, if Sanders in this situation, he's already thrown 44. If he goes 50-plus, he's done. And he's starting to dial it in right now too, get that command. So I guarantee they're going to try and go 49 and have him for later on in the week.
Agustin Teixeira down, no balls and 2 strikes now.
The other thing to notice too with Ryan Sanders is we talked about trying to make that adjustment from that first inning. You can see the velocity climb. When you get comfortable, you start moving at full speed. This doesn't matter if it's the major league level or a 15-year-old. When you start to get comfortable and you're not worried about trying to make that perfect pitch or get back in the count, you can just let it eat and you start to move faster down the mound. The velocity starts to creep up.
The other thing that factors into this for New Zealand and for Argentina today, and did in the early game as well for Nicaragua and Pakistan, is you manage to win this game. But if you win this game, you want to have as many guys available for you going forward as possible. And that's something that we saw with Spain. In that game against Great Britain that Spain blew the lead in the 9th inning, lost that game on a walk-off in the 10th, they used a lot of pitchers that they were not able to use the following day. And so it's a juggling act.
And also, too, you saw Germany, up against Czech Republic in that situation. We're looking at this going, man, how are they going to, if they survive this game, and beat Czech Republic. You know, I'm talking back in Germany. We're like, who are they going to
go to?
Yeah, who are they going to go to? And I guess too, and part of that is it doesn't matter if you don't win, but man, you get that big win and you exhaust your entire bullpen, you might be in trouble.
1-2 pitch fouled back. Our good buddy Martin Klaus, the media representative for the Czech Republic, said there's a phrase in Czech baseball that essentially says, if you manage for tomorrow, tomorrow it'll rain. Meaning you got to get through today before you can worry about the next game. And that is another thing that comes from this tournament-style format. As the 1-2 is grounded over to third, speared over there, and a nice throw to first, but the dig gets away from Daniel Lamb Hunt. So a one-out base runner as Teixeira reaches at first.
Yeah, Lamb Hunt, you can see good play. Just that short volley just could not stay with that baseball.
And that may be the, well, it doesn't look like it will be the last batter for Sanders, who actually has gone over those 50 pitches now. He's at 51.
Right, and again, situation now you may as well just let it fly, because this is going to be it for Sanders in regards to pitching the rest of this qualifier. And you can see the bullpen is shut down. That was the situation again. If you could get a quick inning, get out of this third, take him out, keep him fresh, keep him available later on, but not the case. He's going to just roll on to 85 pitches now, if he obviously continues to throw strikes.
No balls and one strike on Ezekiel Televi. Televi a walk, left aboard at second base in the first inning. Three hits apiece in this game. One there for a called strike two. This Argentina program, a fascinating story in its own right. They have really been making big strides among South American baseball programs in recent years. That pitch stays high. And it was almost essentially due to some Argentina lobbying that they got the hard look from MLB International and from the World Baseball Classic for inclusion here in this first ever qualifier for Argentina. Rafael Salinas, the president of the Argentine Baseball Federation, had some direct contact with Major League Baseball, emphasized the growth of the sport in his country, the successes that they've had on the field. And on June 28th of this year, they were given confirmation that they would be included in this qualifier here in September and October. And that was a game changer as they runner off. The throw down to second is on target and in time. What a throw from Teixeira Bishop. And that is out number two.
Man, look how quick he gets rid of this ball. Doesn't even come off his knees. Look at that tag, too, from Jason Matthews. Just nails that runner at second base. Throws an absolute strike. No chance. Tell you what, that was a good jump from first base as well.
And out to Pawaka Grego, throw to first with Lamb Hunt able to hold the bag. And quickly the composition of that inning changes. Great job by Ryan Sanders to work around the one-out single with some help from his catcher. Headed to the fourth, scoreless in Panama City. third of the order for New Zealand as we head to the top of the fourth inning in a scoreless ball game. Identical lines across the top and bottom of our scoreboard here out in left center field at Panama City's beautiful Estadio Rod Carew. No runs, 3 hits, no errors on each side. And it'll be Sam Kennelly to lead things off here in the top half of the fourth. Tyler Mon, Ryan Rowland-Smith, game number 6 of 9 between these World Baseball Classic Qualifier participants here in Panama City. We've already seen one team dispatched. Big congratulations to Pakistan for their terrific efforts over the last few days here in Panama. They dropped their second game today to Nicaragua. So Nicaragua is moving on. They'll meet the winner of this game coming up on Tuesday as Sam Kennelly goes first pitch hunting. Bounces one left side. Kim on the dive and is thrown to first in time. Great play by Andres Kim.
Another ground ball. Robles keeping the ball on the ground. That low 3/4 arm slot. Man, nice play. Get up, set your feet. Where Argentina look way more defensively sound than what we saw last night. I think too, that big crowd, the opponent they were facing, the game sped up just a little bit on them. Remember, Panama was just running all over the place.
That brings up Tuera Bishop. Tuera Bishop, Faenza Bishop, his brother. Tuera the older, these two out of Wellington, New Zealand. It was the younger brother was in the middle of the pregame haka today. Tuera, a former minor leaguer in his own right. Formerly in the Boston Red Sox and Milwaukee Brewers organization.
Now, let's not forget too, Bishop, he signed directly out of softball as well, which is amazing. Back in 2011, think about that. We talked about how big softball is as a presence for men's softball in New Zealand. Just going down on this slider. Robles is starting to get dialed in. The one thing he didn't have in his first couple innings were those secondary pitches, was able to command his fastball. Now all of a sudden he's got the feel for that big slider. Starting to get settled in here as we roll into the fourth. Quick 2 outs.
Yeah, these two nations are really the two premier current men's softball countries in the world. Argentina won the most recent men's softball World Cup in 2019 in the Czech Republic. New Zealand won 6 of the previous 7 dating back to 1996. But Argentina has made such massive strides in the bat and ball sports in recent years. Maybe not cricket, maybe not rounders. Do they use a bat in rounders? I don't even know what
yes.
rounders is.
According to my friends from Great Britain, they sure do.
2 out, pop, foul ground, and a catch made over there by Jacinto Cipriota. We're playing all the hits, all the good inside jokes from Germany and beyond. Headed to the bottom of the fourth inning, a scoreless game in Panama. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Back in Estadio Rod Carew in Panama City, headed to the bottom of the fourth inning in a scoreless ball game between New Zealand and Argentina. 3 up, 3 down for New Zealand last half inning for the second time in their 4 trips to the plate. Argentina's got a hit in each of its first 3 innings, but they have left 3 men on so far. And Ryan Sanders kind of living a little dangerously with the control so far, but he has been able to keep any damage off the board. Puts the first 2 outside the zone to Jacinto Cipriota and dives right back into it.
Yeah, starting to settle in. We saw the bullpen up last inning because he's approaching the 50 pitch mark. Remember, if he keeps it at 50, or excuse me, 49, he can pitch later on, have a day off and pitch later on in this qualifier. But going through that tough at bat he had with runners on, decided to let him roll with it. Now he's at 60 pitches. Remember, he can only go 85.
1 out on a nice play by Chayton Krause. Daniel Hunt probably just thrilled to have gotten an easy throw to handle over there. He's done some great work making some digs on dives and everything else over at first. That one head high right to him. Here's Eduardo Zurbriggen.
Yeah, you think too. We saw in Germany some of the teams that had a ton of affiliated players, and you know, obviously it's an advantage when you have professional players, of course. But the other part, and this is something that we don't quite know the details, but you have to imagine, because I've had to deal with this myself and with teammates, there's so many limitations put forth by the team that's lending you that player. So I think for a team like New Zealand and Argentina, New Zealand have a couple of the affiliated guys with them. Yeah, and I'm sure there's, you got to be respectful of these young talents that they want to keep healthy, and especially after a long year. But on the pitching side, man, it can be tough. You might have an absolute stud out there, but the organization is going to say, listen, 2 innings max. All of a sudden, you're like, man, you got to really figure out those sweet spots to put him in games.
You know, and that is one thing that's always made events like the World Baseball Classic somewhat challenging. As a swing and a miss here, that ball escapes from Bishop, and that will actually be ruled a foul ball, looks like, by František Prbil, who I think was stunned. That must have gotten him, as Michael Uloya from first base, yeah, that came off of his mask.
Yeah, you can see his umpire crew coming in to make sure he's okay. Copped it off the mask.
We talked about this in Germany. The old style masks, like Prbil wears, just the face shield that you pull down, those take a lot more of the brunt of foul balls. Oof.
Yeah.
That is a direct shot off of that deflection. But František's okay. Climb back in there behind the plate. It is not an easy job to be an umpire, to say the least.
Another chance to land that fastball inner half of the plate.
Upstairs, 2-2. But talking about the limits and the restrictions, and of course the schedule of events like this for the sport of baseball have always been kind of challenging. And the WBC has made it work. Called strike 3 there. Zurbriggen frozen. Strikeout number 3 for Sanders.
Yeah, we've talked about that fastball command. Just getting better and better. This is on the black. Perfectly executed. He stayed with that fastball. Didn't go back to that breaking ball. Tell you what, Ryan Sanders, man, I mean, this has got to be a blast. Talk about international baseball and restrictions and guys recruiting all over the place. Ryan Sanders was a guy that Baseball New Zealand, Ryan Flynn, we talked about him a lot, who was instrumental building this program. Reached out to him 6 years ago. Got in touch with him and the family and said, hey, listen, I know you have the New Zealand roots and you're eligible to play for New Zealand. This is 6 years ago, let's not forget. Kept in contact with him. Obviously now he's playing Division I college baseball and a big part of this WBC qualifying team.
Ryan Sanders' Instagram bio is just the New Zealand flag and the American flag.
I like it.
A California native, but a guy with New Zealander roots.
Doing some stalking, were we, on Instagram?
A little bit. New Zealand baseball, or Baseball New Zealand, I should say, posted a really cool picture of him warming up in the bullpen down the left field line and the entire pitching staff standing behind him watching. And as he deals the 2-1 and puts it away, 3 balls and 1 strike. This New Zealand team, we talked with Brian Mattis about it, the bullpen coach. These are guys who really have gelled very quickly and very well. They spent some time in Arizona prior to coming down here. Big cut and miss by Kim, 3-2. And this team just has a brotherhood kind of feel, as does Argentina.
Tell you what, if I was performing that haka with my teammates, that's one way to build some team chemistry, that is for sure.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. Called strike 3. Freezes Lucas Nakandakari. And Lucas gone on strikes for the final out of the inning. 4th strikeout of the day for Sanders. We will head to the 5th, scoreless in Panama City. We got a good one rolling into the top of the 5th inning in a scoreless ball game. There you go to look at the former big leaguer Brian Mattis, bullpen coach for this Baseball New Zealand squad. Brian Mattis got that gig via some very baseball world connections. Brian Mattis's brother was the roommate of New Zealand manager Scott Campbell's brother way back in the day when they played in college together. Brian Mattis and Scott Campbell played against each other in college. And the two families got to know each other, got to be really close. And a few months ago, Scott Campbell contacted Brian Mattis, said, hey, you want to do some coaching for this New Zealand team? And he said, I've never done coaching, but happy to do that as a first pitch ground out for Chris Richards. And here are some highlights from the long big league career of Brian Mattis, an 8-year major leaguer. My very first job in baseball, he was the guy in the Carolina League, the top prospect in the Baltimore Orioles organization, long career with the O's.
Yeah, he put up some really good numbers. See him wearing his number 17, pitching the AL East. But yeah, it was good to chat with him. I love those stories too. When you have a situation, Scott Campbell said, "Hey, you want to be a part of this?" And this team, New Zealand, they've had Chris Woodward manage the team back in Sydney, 2016.
Right.
Josh Bard, who former teammate of mine, big league, played with the Red Sox, the Padres.
Attended the same high school as your wife.
Exactly.
Well.
Cherry Creek, Colorado, Denver. There we go. But just getting around those kind of people for some of these young players, it's massive. Some of these young pitchers, there's the young Zaid Flynn, 18 years old, on this New Zealand team, getting a chance to sit with Brian Mattis and just ask questions. It's one thing I tried to do as much as I could when I was younger. If I got around, in whether a pro ball or a national team, and got a chance to be around ex-big leaguers, just ask a bunch of questions. Be a sponge.
Daniel Lim Hunt Grounds out to third. A nice dig again by Jacinto Cipriota. We have seen some really good defensive play at first base today.
Yeah, you've seen a ton of ground balls, just ground ball machine all of a sudden. Robles, since he settled in and picking everything. Cipriota over there at first base. And just back to Brian Mattis too. I said to him, I said, "Hey, look, is this it? Like, are you just coaching now?" I guarantee. And he said, "Oh, I'm not quite sure." But even when you have these limited days with a team like this, you mentioned some of the team chemistry they have and how they all know each other. When all of a sudden you get brought into that, I guarantee you that the chance to go down and essentially do a camp in New Zealand or be a part of it next time New Zealand have an event, whether it be the World Baseball Classic in March or under 23s, whatever it may be. I guarantee you guys like that put their hand up and say, "Yeah, I'm all in with this."
1 ball, 1 strike count in the 9th spot on Max Brown to reach on a bunt single back in the 3rd inning. Yeah, for Brian Mattis, a guy who brought up something that we have heard from a lot of these coaching staffs. He said these guys just want to learn. They want to learn everything that they can, and that's been really cool to hear from. Steve Finley said the same thing about his Brazil team. Bruce Bochy said it about France when we were in Germany. The amount of desire for knowledge that is there from not just these young players, but coaches on these staffs is really cool. When you're around a guy who's been in the big leagues for 8 years, or on the Argentina side, a guy who manages in pro ball right now, Rolando Arnedo, those are such tools, such big assets for all of these young athletes. It's really cool.
Yeah, for a country like New Zealand, the fact they've got 5 million people and where they're at right now is pretty astonishing how fast this program has been put together, how fast they've gotten to this kind of level to be at a World Baseball Classic Qualifier right now.
Pitch on the inside corner, a called strike 3. Federico Robles and Ryan Sanders are doing some really impressive work on the pitcher's mound right now. We're headed to the bottom of the 5th inning in a scoreless ball game in Panama. Who is going to blink first? We head to the bottom of the 5th inning in Panama City, a scoreless game between New Zealand and Argentina. This has been a great one to this point. 6 combined hits, 3 on each side, and some amazing starting pitching. Federico Robles on the Argentina side, Ryan Sanders on the New Zealand side. As we head into the bottom of 5, it'll be 7, 8, and 9 for Argentina. The right fielder Matias Robles leading things off. And bouncing one up too short. Jason Matthews, 1 out.
Yeah, plenty of that on both sides. Ground ball city right now in this game. here in the 5th inning. But, you know, both guys, Ryan Sanders and Robles, first couple innings took a little bit just to get that command dialed in. And all of a sudden, in a pitching duel. Really the first time we've seen this kind of pitching on both sides, essentially in this entire qualifier, if you even go back to Germany.
Ryan Sanders has been outstanding so far today, but he is coming up on that pitch limit. He is at 75 pitches now. On the other side, Robles has been more efficient. He's only thrown 60 pitches. So the bullpen getting active down the left field line. A swing and a miss there by Andres Kim. Remember, if you get to 85 pitches in the middle of an at-bat, you are allowed to finish that at-bat. But the clock is ticking now on Ryan Sanders, so New Zealand's going to have to dip into its bullpen first. And that seems to be the storyline right now, is who's going to win the battle of the bullpens. Although on the other side, Robles still has 25 pitches to work with.
Yeah, these qualifiers too, we've seen this. Saw this in 2016 as well. It's always the same story. It's the pitching depth, which can bite you if you're one of these, you know, non-traditional baseball countries. You have your top flight guys, and then there's a little bit of a drop-off, but definitely manage it for sure. New Zealand still have plenty of options down there in that bullpen.
Here is the 1-2 on the way from Sanders. Called strike 3. He freezes Andres Kim for his 5th strikeout, and Sanders 1 out away from making it through 5 scoreless.
And this is what we've been talking about with Sanders. You talk about the usage of that breaking ball. You know, misses with that fastball, but he can come back with that breaking ball and then freeze guys on both sides of the plate, especially on his glove side to righties and lefties. That's been the biggest adjustment he has made. You watch the best pitchers in the world, they can make those adjustments on the fly. As the game goes on, he's done exactly that.
Swinging a line drive right center field. That's down for a base hit. The first base hit since a leadoff single by Lucas Nakandaka. Check that. Since a 1-out single by Agustin Teixeira in the 3rd for Argentina, and Lucas Stallman puts himself aboard with 2 gone. And that appears to be the end of the night for Ryan Sanders, as Scott Campbell is out from the 3rd base dugout. Ryan Sanders will see his World Baseball Classic qualifier come to a close with a pat on the back from everybody around his infield, and New Zealand is headed to the bullpen. We'll tell you about the new arm when we return. Scoreless in the bottom of the 5th. For the first time tonight, New Zealand and Argentina see a reliever take to the pitcher's mound, and it is the right-handed pitcher out of Howick, Elliot Johnston, a New York Mets prospect who takes over after a terrific starting effort by Ryan Sanders.
Yeah, Elliot Johnston, you mentioned that. Pitching with the Mets. Kind of got discovered playing in the Australian Baseball League, but playing for Auckland Tuitara, the newest team in the ABL, the team that is from New Zealand. They have to travel to Australia. Man, he put up some numbers. A 1 ERA, got him signed professionally with the New York Mets.
Has not made his minor league baseball debut as of yet, but yeah, in 12 games in the 18-19 season, 4-1 record, a 1.09 ERA, struck out 28 while walking 10 in 24 2/3 innings. Opponents batted 167 against him. He's got those old school Ryan Roland Smith glasses on too.
He's my new favorite player. I don't know, we've got some hyphenated names. I don't know if we go with the hyphenated name or the rec specs. I don't know. Great fashion, I love it.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Sebastian Garcia. This is a spot where if you're a Mets player development person, this is an exciting thing for you to see. Right off of the pitch, swinging a bouncer back to second, and the runner moving works out beautifully for New Zealand as Puaka Grego went to cover the bag, and he was standing atop it when that ground ball arrived. We'll head to the 6th, scoreless between New Zealand and Argentina. Inning in a fantastic ball game for game number 6 of this 2022 World Baseball Classic Qualifier as Federico Robles back atop the mound to face the top 3rd in the order for New Zealand. Jason Matthews will lead things off the shortstop. Nico Puaka Grego, the second baseman, and Chayton Krause, the other two, due to the plate. Here in the top of the 6th, no runs in this game, 7 combined hits. This has been one of the best played games that we have seen in either of these qualifiers so far, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely the best pitching. Both guys gotten dialed in, but I will say for Team New Zealand, this is that half of the inning where you got 1, 2, and 3 up. You go into that dugout off the field, try and get your boys fired up. It's a big opportunity right here with that lineup right at the top.
Swinging a fly ball in the air to left field. Lucas Stallman making the call and the catch. 1 up, 1 down. Robles has been so efficient. That was just pitch number 62 for him tonight. Again, the limit is 85. Ryan Sanders ends up departing this game at 80 pitches, 48 for strikes. And for Sanders, he only walked one, but he was sort of effectively wild. I mean, there were counts where pitches were nowhere near the zone. He'd get to 2-0 and then all of a sudden dial it right in. He was really impressive tonight. Swinging a rope foul down the right field line from Puaka Grego.
Yeah, you can see for Robles too, just getting these hitters to reach. You can see that all of a sudden they're on that front foot and they're reaching either barrel over the ball, you're getting those ground balls, or you're just getting that lazy fly ball from Jason Matthews to left field. It's a good feeling, man. When you have that ball kind of getting underneath that barrel just like that, you get confident, you can challenge hitters, getting good counts. Like you said, Tyler, just taking a couple innings to get to that spot.
Puaka Grego went yard a couple of nights ago, swings and can't get a piece there. 0-2. You know, the other thing that you like about a game like this is, yeah, it's a scoreless game right now and two pitchers are dominating, but we hear so much in baseball today about, well, the ball's never put in play. Fans are getting bored. There's too many strikeouts, too many walks, too many home runs, whatever. Been a lot of balls put in play. And here right on cue, another one, a hard hit grounder to first. This has been a pitcher's duel, but combined now, 9 strikeouts through almost 5.5 innings. Guys have been getting wood to the ball. They just haven't been able to find many hits so far.
And just not able to get in the air. Again, another ground ball. Reaching, out in front, caught off balance. You see plenty of that. And you get, I mean, you get caught off by the 85 pitch limit for both of these starters. You see Ryan Sanders. I mean, Ryan Sanders could have pitched all night. Same with Robles, but you approach that 85 pitches, you've got to hand it off to the bullpen.
There's a swing and a well-struck ball to center. Moving back on this is Garcia on the warning track in the wall. It's gone! Chayton Krause to dead center. It's 1-0 New Zealand in the 6th.
Wow, and the light show as well. We talked about the ball getting on the ground. All of a sudden, Chayton Krause gets on that front foot, but does not miss it. Timed up perfectly, getting a fastball middle. Absolutely crushing that 0-0 pitch straight away dead center field.
That was the loudest contact we have heard all night, but with the way the ball has traveled here, you didn't know if that had enough to get out. Garcia gave it a good look, and it just escapes over that wall to the right field side of the batter's eye. And look at the emotion from Chayton Krause, as the Christchurch native has given his team the lead and sent it to Sam Kennelly, the cleanup man.
Yeah, that entire dugout down there at third base absolutely exploded.
First pitch to Kennelly grooved in there for a strike.
And there is nothing better too. Like I said, Robles has been dialed in, just getting weak contact over and over. All of a sudden you get on that first pitch fastball and break this 0 score right now. New Zealand in a good spot.
0-1 down the left field line. That'll go foul. Sam Kennelly, born in Australia to a pair of Kiwis. As we take one more look at the solo shot from Chayton Krause. I mean, dead central for Krause. What a cool shot that is, with the light show going on in the background. 0-2 pitch, and Sam swings and can't get a piece there, and that will retire the side. But the solo home run breaks the deadlock, and we head to the bottom of the 6th. New Zealand's got a 1-0 lead. The 19-year-old third baseman Chayton Krause putting his team out in front with a solo homer to dead center field in the top of the 6th inning, and he got to experience the light show, celebrate with Sam Kennelly in the on-deck circle. What a moment for this New Zealand team, and this game has a score now, 1-0 as we head to the bottom of the 6th, and Elliot Johnston goes to work. First pitch fouled away.
Yeah, that light show was legit. Kind of took me by surprise, I'm not going to lie. See, Chayton Krause kind of fired me up as well, just seeing that emotion. But, yeah, for him, this is a kid who, 5 years ago was playing 15U baseball, big part of the future. He's got that big power down there at third base, playing college ball in Texas at the moment. Good for him.
Teixeira, the leadoff man who plays for Dolphins in the Argentinian Professional League. He is out of Cordoba, Argentina. And another guy who is one of the veteran players on this squad. We've talked about Argentina's depth, and maybe that's the way you get it started. A hit by pitch for Teixeira to lead things off in the 6th.
And this is one of Team New Zealand's biggest arms out of the bullpen. Elliot Johnston currently with the Mets. You mentioned some of the numbers he put up, the ABL. He was a kid who was always a big prospect, part of the MLB Academy down in Australia, even though he's from New Zealand, but could never quite figure it out, never quite put it together. You see the size of him. Kind of got a late start, but here he is in the Mets organization. A big opportunity here for his country.
Yeah, and you're trusting a young guy, just 24 years old, with this big spot here in this game, and a leadoff base runner aboard through a pitcher's miscue always makes you a little nervous, whether it's a walk or a hit by pitch. And that's one that puts Teixeira on. This Argentina team, even though they took that big loss yesterday to Panama, they felt composed throughout the game. It didn't feel as though the moment was too big for them, even though you're playing in a ballpark in which there's 6,000 who are firmly positioned against you, and you're on this big stage for the first time. Argentina really seems like they have taken on the personality of their manager, Rolando Arnedo, who is just a very cool customer in that first base dugout. And yeah, you're down a run, but go to the bat rack, see what happens now.
Yeah, last one was tough. Definitely. Obviously a different scene right now, but they are down, trying to get these bats woken up. One thing with Panama did, and we saw some of the power from Panama. They are definitely the strongest team here with all that MLB talent. We're going to see them in the next couple of days try and qualify for the World Baseball Classic. But the other thing they did as well, they were base running like crazy. They were aggressive. They were getting that extra base, speeding the game up against Argentina, man. It was a lot to handle.
Speaking of which, runner off, throw down to second base is in time again, and off the bag. Teixeira tagged by Matthews for out number 1. Teixeira Bishop with a second caught stealing of the game.
Man, Teixeira Bishop from his knees again. Does not go to his feet. Quick release. Waka Grego, look at this. Keep him with the tag too. Seeing the slide? Seen it a couple times too. It's like ice out there. A couple times throughout these qualifiers. Applying the tag. That's a big out for Team New Zealand. You want to get these quick outs. All of a sudden you're taking the lead. You got Elliot Johnston, big arm out of the bullpen. Trying to be as efficient, suck up as many of these later innings as you can.
And big arm is accurate. I mean, we've seen fastballs in the low 90s so far from Johnson, who certainly got a whole lot of momentum in this one as he comes upstairs at 90 miles an hour there and puts that in for ball 4. But a whole lot of adrenaline, that was the word that I was searching for. You're pitching for your home country in a World Baseball Classic for the first time, and the velocity is certainly there.
Yeah, a couple misses. Elliot Johnston, just get that command down. Like I said, just the pitch count is so big. This is not like regular season baseball where you throw 25 pitches, big deal, in an inning, you can bounce back. You just simply can't, because obviously you have restrictions too. Let's not forget, he is with the Mets, so there is those you know what, you can have him for a couple of weeks, that's fine. Yeah. But hey, listen, this is the limitations. 1 inning here, 1 inning there, maybe 2 max. And you need to respect those rules from his organization as well.
One thing that is interesting in Johnson's case is that he has not pitched professionally as of yet. He signed with the Mets in June of 2021. He has yet to make his pro debut, and obviously there are so many things that go into when you finally do get out onto a mound in a professional context. But I'm assuming the Mets are really excited for him to have this opportunity. But still coming with those qualifications of what exactly the organization will allow you to do. Fly ball in the air to center field. Max Brown there, 2 away. How much does it change the composition of this game, the complexion here from the 6th inning and beyond? You have sent only one runner. Agustin Teixeira has been the guy to try to steal second base twice, but he's been thrown out twice to wear a Bishop from his knees both times. We've seen Argentina try to be aggressive, but what does that change in Rolando Orneto's mind? Base runners are precious right now in a one-run game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you cannot afford to give up base runners like that. And we've seen, you know, the stoppage in the big leagues as far as it's not worth the risk with obviously injuries and getting thrown out at second base, just with the percentage of times you do get thrown out. So I think for Argentina's sake right now, first of all, you know that Bishop behind the plate, he is getting some throws off. It's going to be tough. So you better make sure you've got that base. Otherwise, you got to stay put. Go station to station. The other thing, too, with that, it's more about in this situation where you're struggling offensively. You got the 4 hits scattered. You have to just get traffic. In other words, you just you go station to station, but just put base runners on. You apply that pressure.
2 gone. Eduardo Zerbergen, the batter. 1-1. Bounced on the right side. Easy hop there for Huaca Grego, and working around a couple of base runners to start this inning. Johnston does the job. We're going to the 7th, 1-0 New Zealand. The World Baseball Classic qualifying rounds are wrapping up here in Panama, and you can watch these final 6 countries compete for free. Catch all the action live on worldbaseballclassic.com and by following at WBC Baseball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Back at Estadio Rod Carew in Panama City, some anxious moments for these New Zealand baseball fans who are hoping their team can add a little bit of insurance as we head to the top of the 7th. One swing in this game has been the difference. Chayton Krause with a 2-out solo homer last inning, just to the right side of the batter's eye on a ball he crushed to center. And Teixeira Bishop will get things started. He's been really impressive behind the plate today. And he tries to hold up there and is able to do so to put the count at a ball and a strike. Bishop 0 for 2. Strikeout in his last trip at the plate. How cool is that bat Teixeira Bishop's got?
Oh, yeah, look at that thing. Nice. That's what when I got my 2 hits, that's what my bat
you were using.
Yeah.
Out in front of that breaking ball, it's 1 and 2.
My 2 spring training hits.
Do you ever watch, people so much on social media these days. You can find like the ASMR accounts or the relaxation, the meditation accounts. There's an account I follow of a bat maker, a baseball bat maker in Texas, and they show the process of staining and painting bats. Basically put it on, you know, I have absolutely no idea what the term is for the piece of equipment, but it spins the bat really quickly, and you just hold the paintbrush down and it covers the bat. It is the most soothing thing to watch as Bishop strikes out. He's out number 1 here. I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link. Don't worry. I know you're into it.
First of all, I was watching this slider and I was thinking about the fact that I have a life that I don't need to watch and stare at my social media watching a bat get painted.
Look at me and my wife and 2 children in my professional baseball career. I don't need to be watching these Instagram bat painting videos. All right, I get it. No balls in a strike on Connor O'Gorman. We don't have any fun on these broadcasts. It's really a big problem for us.
You were diving into that explanation. You looked over at me and had to do a double take because I'm like sitting there going, really?
You looked at me.
I'm sure it's great, Tyler. I'm sure it's fantastic.
You did look at me as though I was sprouting a second head. What is this talking about? Connor O'Gorman over 2 so far today. 1 run on 4 hits for New Zealand, no runs, 4 hits for Argentina. This has been a brilliantly pitched game on both sides. Federico Robles still out there for Argentina, but he is coming down to the end now. That last pitch was number 76 for him. One, 2. Tap foul.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. Pitching into the 7th. I mean, this is by far the deepest we've seen a starting pitcher go in either qualifier. That is for sure. And approaching that 85 pitch limit, he's going to have to hand it over the bullpen. The Argentinian bullpen still hasn't budged at all.
You know what pitching performance this is reminding me of is Martin Schneider in that qualifying game for the Czech Republic. He went 6 1/3 in that contest. 5 hits, 1 run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He finished at exactly 85 pitches, 65 for strikes. Turned that game over to Marek Minarek, who closed the door as the Czech Republic qualified for its first ever World Baseball Classic. O'Gorman retired here, and that'll bring up Chris Richards.
Yeah, and then what was so amazing about that performance, first of all, yeah, you're facing elimination. Martin Schneider had only thrown, what, 17 innings or so in the league there in the Czech Republic. So I kept talking early on in that game, stamina was going to be an issue for him. But, man, he just kept going and going.
Talk about running on adrenaline. I cannot imagine what that felt like for Schneider.
He still can't feel his arm after that.
After that. He's gone back to his firefighting job, and he's doing everything left-handed now. 1-0 pitch on the way to Chris Richards. Swung on and missed. I'll send you one of those videos. Don't you worry.
Oh, please. Can't wait.
I'll slip that into the old Instagram DMs.
Thanks. Can't wait.
1 ball, 1 strike on Richards. Chris 0 for 2 so far today, and he smokes that one foul down the left field line. Over near our friend Andy Brown, who is painting in the left field corner today. Richards was 0 for 4 in Friday's contest with a strikeout. So, like Sam Kennelly, he's still trying to find his way offensively. A couple of guys hitless in the middle spots in this lineup. And a grounder over to third as Andres Kim scoops and fires. And 3 up, 3 down goes New Zealand here in the 7th. It is stretch time here in Panama. We're going to the bottom of the 7th inning. New Zealand with a 1-0 lead over Argentina. We are locked in a good one in Panama City. That swing from New Zealand's third baseman and three-hole hitter Chayton Krause has provided the only run of this game as we head to the bottom of the seventh. A 1-0 lead for New Zealand over Argentina in a game that will send one of these teams on to live another day on Tuesday to square off with Nicaragua, and one of these teams home as Lucas Nakandakari leads things off, and the first pitch is inside to him. It's a ball and no strikes.
Yeah, that ball was absolutely crushed. Been the difference in this game so far, already bottom of the seventh. We talked to some of the locals here talking about how it is tough to hit the ball out in left field. You have to really get it. Once you get to center field, over to right field, the ball will carry.
Elliot Johnston on for his second full inning of work. He came on with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Got the final out there. Worked around a leadoff hit by pitch by getting a caught stealing on Agustin Teixeira, and then a 1-out walk behind it. He was able to pitch around that as well last inning. Johnston 3 balls and a strike on Lucas Nakandakari. 4-1 fastball at 90 miles an hour, low and away, ball 4. So another leadoff base runner.
Yeah, this game obviously 1-0. You just don't want to give away free passes. Let your stuff work. Give yourself a chance around the strike zone. Make him hit that 90-92 fastball and that breaking ball.
2 straight innings with the leadoff man on now for Argentina, and 3 times in their 7 innings at the plate tonight. And that brings up Matias Robles, the 7-hole hitter. Chayton Krause already moving in at third base. A couple of steps in front of the bag to guard against the bunt. Squaring around. This is actually a pinch hitter, Jose Jerez, out to take the at-bat in place of Matias Robles.
I'll tell you what, Argentina trying to bunt right now. If you're New Zealand, they're doing you a favor. And what I mean by that is you've got a guy on the mound right now, Elliot Johnston, with good stuff, but he's struggling to find the strike zone. All of a sudden, you're giving them an out. And it's not a situation where you're pushing a runner into third base with 1 out either. This is one of those where got to get him in scoring position, hope a single gets him in. But again, if pitch on the mound isn't throwing strikes, you don't want to give up outs. Make him throw strikes.
2 balls and a strike. In this circumstance, you're on the mound. You know a guy is going to try to give himself up. What is your approach? Are you throwing high fastball, try to get him to pop it up? If he's squaring that early, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, a couple of things to think about. First of all, Elliot Johnston, he's trying to find the strike zone. So he has his own set of challenges right now. There's been times where, man, you can't quite get that feel for the pitch, for the zone. So you're trying to feel that out. But when you take that away, you talked about pitching up above the barrel. Yeah, you're trying to pitch right where the catcher's mask is, and just try and get that ball to pop up. And the other thing on top of that too, if you've got someone who can handle the bunt, which most guys at this level can, go ahead and bunt the ball, get the out.
3 balls and 2 strikes now. Here is the pinch hitter. We'll see how the approach changes. Swinging away on 3-2, and it's inside for ball 4. Back-to-back walks to get things started for Argentina here in the bottom of the 7th.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. You've got a guy on the mound who's struggling to find the zone. Pull that bunt back. Make him work. That's exactly what Argentina's doing right now. All of a sudden, now you've got runners on first and second. None out. This is a huge mound visit. Just got to get that one sentence, get that little mechanical cues, translate that message as if to say, just relax. Whatever it is, stay over that back leg, feel that relief, whatever it is, whatever that little mechanical cue is for Elliot Johnston to get back in the zone. Make them swing the bat.
Brian Anderson, the New Zealand pitching coach, out for the mound visit. Rolando Arnedo talking things over with the guys in his dugout on the first base side. Big at bat coming up here for Andres Kim, the third baseman. And now in this spot, you wonder if Kim will try to sacrifice himself as well. This is one of the very few cases in which the numbers actually back up that a sacrifice bunt increases your chances of scoring a run. First and second, nobody out. To second and third, one out. Your chances of scoring at least one run in an inning do slightly improve. And Kim does try to bunt. And did that get him in the helmet, or was that off the bat?
Looked like it was off the bat.
That's what I thought too, and that would have been a fair ball. But a dead ball called by Francisek Probil.
Yes, judging by Bishop's reaction to the catcher.
Might have been the bat and then the helmet. We'll see. Oof.
Nah, straight off the helmet, looked like. You see Scott Campbell. You have to talk about it.
The lead runner, Nakandakari, has moved to third base. Jose Jerez is still standing around first, and now he will head to second, so it is a hit by pitch, and a straight hit by pitch loads the bases with nobody out as Argentina mounting a big rally here in the seventh. That is an odd circumstance. I mean, for Andres Kim, you know, trying to get out of the way, but he didn't even take the bat back or hold the bat up to try to deflect that ball.
Yeah, but he didn't commit to the pitch either. Usually on these bunt calls, if you kind of stab at that ball, you sort of push that bunt, you can essentially call it a swing. Look at this. He turns his head trying to get out of the way. You can see the umpires talking about this right now, getting clarification. Yeah, he's saying hit by pitch. Straight off, flush off the helmet.
That is a scary place to get hit, too.
Yeah, big spot right now. Team New Zealand, you scratch and claw to get that one run. Now all of a sudden you essentially beat yourself with Elliot Johnstone losing that command. You got loaded bases, none out.
Just one hit for Argentina since the third, and yet they have loaded the bases to start things here in the seventh, and New Zealand is headed to the bullpen, and they're going to go get a member of this relief corps who may be the smallest guy on any of these rosters, but he's going to try to get some mighty outs here. Bottom of the seventh. Come on back, Panama City. One nothing ball game. New Zealand in the lead, bottom of the seventh inning, but a razor-thin margin here. At third base, Lucas Nakandakari. Second base, Jose Jerez. First base, Andres Kim. There you see the lead runner in this circumstance who represents the tying run, Lucas Nakandakari, who reached on a leadoff walk to get this inning started. Jerez, the pinch hitter, followed with a walk behind him. Kim with a hit by pitch. and New Zealand will turn things over to the left-hander reliever, Ryota Okamoto, to try to get out of this jam. Bases loaded, nobody out in a one-run game.
Yeah, pitched a couple of years in the ABL. 5'5". Got a big assignment right here. Loaded bases, none out.
Yeah, certainly not the largest guy on this pitching staff for New Zealand, but a guy who's going to try to get the biggest outs of the night for his team. Lucas Stallman is the first man in to face him. Stallman plays his college baseball at Boston College in the U.S. Takes the first pitch for ball one. It is 1-0.
Yeah, for New Zealand and Okamoto especially, you got to throw strikes. You got to make Argentina beat you. It's a situation where you have a team, Argentina, the bats have been quiet all night. You get back in that strike zone and make them force the issue.
1-0, and we'll put the count even. Okamoto has pitched for the Auckland Tuatara in his most recent season. 5 appearances, 1 start, an ERA of 1.69. Trying to get ahead of Stallman here. 1-1 on the way. 2 balls and a strike. Thing that's got to be frustrating the heck out of Scott Campbell and that coaching staff is that everything has been self-inflicted in this inning for New Zealand. 2 walks, a hit by pitch. Elliot Johnstone, a big arm, but he walked 3 and hit 2 batters over his 2 1/3 innings. And a razor-thin margin right here with a 1-run lead. Okamoto deals. A swing and a flare, shallow center, and that's going to get down for a base hit. And it could give Argentina the lead. It'll at least tie this game. They will hold Harris at third, and it's 1-1 on the RBI single by Lucas Stallman.
Man, Stallman with that little jam shot into center field. Ball had a parachute on it. Dropping down, tying this game up.
Had some Luis Gonzalez 0-1 World Series blue vibes in off the hands.
Yeah, both teams scored a run, but completely different exit velos, that is for sure. Kraus with that big home run to get the lead, 1-0. Now all of a sudden it's tied up. With a flare into the really shallow center field.
So walk, hit by pitch, and weak contact on the blooper to center, and Argentina has tied this game, taking advantage of the opportunities New Zealand is handing away here in the 7th. And now a big chance back at the top of the order for Sebastian Garcia.
There's still none out.
Garcia, the Buenos Aires product, takes that pitch just high. 2 balls and no strikes.
Man, you can see him too, not even lifting the bat off his shoulder, basically taking all the way, as they say, in a situation, making Okamoto throw a strike in this right now, because it has been tough to come by getting strikes, balls over the plate in this inning.
2-0, 3-0, and that got him on the right arm. And another hit by pitch, a thing that has been such a prominent theme throughout this qualifier, and that one, the 3rd of the last 2 innings, and the 2nd this inning by New Zealand's pitching staff, puts Argentina in the lead.
Yeah, you mentioned it's self-inflicted right now. Scott Campbell coming out to the mound and have to make a change. Man, this game's sped up. Team New Zealand in a hurry.
Still nobody out in the inning. Walk, hit by pitch, single, hit by pitch, and things are spinning out of control for New Zealand. Argentina still on the attack, 2-1 their lead as we move along in the 7th. loaded hit by pitch. Ryota Okamoto unable to keep Sebastian Garcia off the base paths as the Argentina leadoff man takes one off the right arm to give his team the lead. 2-1 our score now here in the bottom of the 7th. A wild bottom of the 7th as New Zealand goes to the bullpen again against the right-hander Connor Gleason, and he uncorks the first pitch back to the screen, and it's a 3-1 Argentina lead.
Wow, look at that dugout fired up, taking advantage of these New Zealand bullpen arms just unable to throw strikes, get in the strike zone all of a sudden. See the hit by pitch, now a wild pitch. You talk about how quiet these bats have been for New Zealand, except for that one home run to center field. You think to yourself, is that enough? Things are unraveling right now in the bottom of the 7th inning.
This is a nightmarish inning for Baseball New Zealand as Agustin Teixeira shoots one foul. Walk, hit by pitch, single, hit by pitch, wild pitch, all adding up to 3 runs in this inning. And again, we've talked so much about the pitch limits and what they mean. That plays a big factor tonight because Ryan Sanders was dealing. He got to 80 pitches over 4 2/3. He's probably not going to go the distance with that type of pitch ratio per inning. But if not for that pitch limit, you leave him in for a little while longer. But the look of this game has very much changed as the first out is not recorded at first, or was it? Daniel Lamb Hunt able to keep the bag. Michael Uloya, the first base umpire, waited a long time to make that out call.
Wow, looked like he definitely pulled him off the bag on the throw. Look at Chayton Krause holding the runner at third base. You mentioned it took a long time to make that call. Looked like he... Yeah, and the fact that Lamb Hunt went back to tag him, it kind of gives you the impression, hey, I don't think I had my foot on the bag, but you can see how this game just simply speeds up. Still only 1 out, but for Connor Gleason, you mentioned some of the pitch limits too. Obviously 85 pitches being the cap for Ryan Sanders, but what it does to your bullpen as well. Elliot Johnson unable to get through the 7th inning. Now all of a sudden you got to tap in to some of your better arms. Connor Gleason, you were hoping you could save him for Tuesday's game, keep him fresh, maybe go back-to-back on those days. You still can if you keep him under 30, but man, you now have to tap into that bullpen, some of that depth.
Intentional walk to Ezekiel Televi. So with 1 out, the bases are loaded now for Jacinto Cipriota, and the first pitch is ball 1.
I don't know how I feel about that intentional walk too. The way these guys are throwing, not commanding the ball. You don't want a situation where now you got loaded bases, you slip behind the count, or you walk in a runner.
Cipriota 1 for 3 tonight. Single back in the first. This inning has happened almost entirely without the benefit of a hit. And Lucas Stallman with the 1 hit in this inning. It was a little flare to center. So not the best contact that we've seen all night from Argentina, but that's what makes this team so effective. They are just doing all the little things. They haven't committed an error tonight. They got a fabulous starting effort from Federico Robles, who we assume is done after 7 innings. He did not issue a walk. And Argentina threatening to break this game wide open here in the 7th. 1-1. 1-2.
I tell you what, too, and you go back to that game against, Brazil, Nicaragua. How, look, Nicaragua, we saw this today. They can hit. But Brazil commanding the strike zone. It's amazing when you keep some of these free passes off the bases, how you can completely control the game. And walks will kill you. You can see right here deep in this game, 7th inning. Time is running out now. All of a sudden, 3-1 Argentina.
Gleason ready. 1-2 pitch to Cipriota. Swung on and missed, and trying to back pick in behind Lucas Stallman. He's safe. That's kind of risky, and we know Tawera Bishop's got a fantastic arm, but makes your heart jump, I would imagine, if you're Scott Campbell.
For sure, and it's a good sinking fastball, 89 miles per hour. But yeah, you mentioned it, throwing down to third base, not most advisable play unless you really know you're going to throw out that runner, but man, you airmail that thing into left field, all of a sudden, 2 runners are going to score. That's part of that frustration too. All of a sudden you try and force the issue a little bit. Try and get that extra out. Make that extra play when you don't really need to or risk it.
First pitch swinging and missing. Eduardo Zurbriggen, the 9th man to bat in this inning for Argentina. In an inning, again, in which they have had 1 hit so far. They have brought home 3, and they've got the bases loaded. Connor Gleason trying to get his team to the bat rack with 6 outs remaining to work with to try to claw their way a little bit closer. New Zealand led 1-0 coming into the bottom of this inning. Now a 3-1 lead for Argentina. And a swing and a pop foul. This should get out of play. And, man, sliding back to the wall behind the plate. Great effort from Tawera Bishop.
Yeah, good effort. But again, you just kind of see that, call it desperation, just trying to get out of this inning, stop the bleeding. Run into that wall.
He has been extremely impressive tonight. He's caught a couple of runners stealing from his knees on just strike throws down to second base. No balls and 2 strikes. Zurbriggen 0 for 3 out of the 5 spot in the order. Trying to break this thing open for Argentina. Connor Gleason trying to keep it at a 2-run margin. 0-2 pitch. Down the line in right. Trouble if it is fair. This one is hooking, and it is a foul ball.
Wow.
That was way out of here.
This is the best contact we've seen. We've talked about all these walks and trying to chip away to score a run, but man, that would have broke this game wide open. Let's stay fair.
That shot looking down the line, it was fouled by a considerable margin, but from our vantage point up here behind home plate, that looks like it was kind of a coin flip. Michael Uloa, our first base umpire, right on it. 0-2 pitch, bouncing ball foul. We'll do it again.
A good changeup right there from Connor Gleason. He's got that good low 3/4 arm slot, good velocity too, around 88, 90. Right now I'm going fastball up in the zone right after that changeup. Challenge him a little bit right at the top part of that strike zone.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 gone. Gleason ready again. Another 0-2 pitch. A check swing and no swing as Zurbriggen is able to hold up.
And you go back to that fastball, but easily missing.
From the belt, Gleason's 1-2. Good block by Bishop. Now the count goes even. And the margin for error gets a little bit thinner.
Go to challenge him right here. Fastball straight to that top part of the strike zone if you're comfortable doing it. Get that swing and miss.
2-2. 3-2. And the runners will be off and moving on this next pitch. A game that New Zealand's pitching staff had dominated until this inning has gone awry. 3 walks, 1 of them intentional, 2 players hit by pitches, 1 base hit, bases loaded. And the 3-2 pitch from Gleason is ball 4. It's a 4-1 lead for Argentina.
Wow, wouldn't that bat? Right there from Zurbriggen. Look at this. I mean, this is a pitch. This is a pitch I would have thrown 3 pitches ago. But look at that. He goes from 0-2, lays off that changeup, lays off those fastballs out on the outside part of the plate, works the count 3-2, works that walk. Man, this has been a situation where New Zealand just beat themselves into the ground with these walks. And on the flip side, too, some good at-bats from Argentina. Identifying, first of all, starts with Elliot Johnson, just unable command that ball. They picked up on that quick. Smelly's struggling, weren't going to chase. A massive hole right now, 3-run lead for Argentina.
Lucas Nakandakri led off this inning. Started things with a walk quite some time ago in this lengthy bottom of the 7th. And here he is as the 10th man to bat. And the count is a ball and a strike on him. Nakandakri singled to lead off the 2nd. Struck out looking to close the 4th, but he's been on twice in his 3 plate appearances today. And they are feeling good in that first base dugout. And even more so if Nakandakri can come through here. 1-1. Another little blooper. Foul ground, first base. Lamb Hunt giving chase. He's there to make the play, and that retires the side. But a nightmarish 3rd for New Zealand, and a big bottom of the 7th on the other side for Argentina, going to the 8th. Four runs, 1 hit, no errors, 3 men left on base. It was a wild bottom of the 7th inning as Argentina takes advantage of mistakes on the other side. And we have a very different looking game headed to the 8th than when we were headed to the bottom of the 7th. New arm into the game for Argentina as the right-hander Jose Mendoza takes over on the mound with a lead instead of with a deficit.
Now, I tell you what, Robles was outstanding. 7 strong innings, just a ton of ground balls. Just the one mistake, the home run. Now all of a sudden he hands the ball over. 6 strikeouts as well, no walks.
So for a presumably shell-shocked New Zealand team, we go into the top half of the 8th inning, and the first pitch is there for a strike to Daniel Lamb Hunt. Again, 4 runs on 1 hit last inning. 4 walks issued. And a ground ball over to third, and that gets past Andres Kim and down the left field line. A rounding first, headed for second. Daniel Lamb Hunt slides in, and he's out.
Wow. You think about this. First of all, you've just come off a nightmarish inning where your 2 best arms out of the bullpen failed to throw strikes, and you get a break right here, and you try and push the issue. This is what happens when a little bit of that desperation. We talked about that defensively. Now all of a sudden, man, you just need base runners. We talked about that with Argentina. When they were down, you just need guys on base and keep it moving. Now all of a sudden, 1 out, momentum killer. You know, I was thinking about this during that half inning as well. Talking about Elliot Johnstone and Connor Gleason, two of the biggest arms. They come from a place where, you know, they're in rookie ball or you know, extended spring training for Elliot Johnstone, and then you got Connor Gleason, who's, you know, one of his pitchers in his college program. Now all of a sudden, you're brought into this situation with New Zealand. You're a young player, and there's so much expectation on you, being one of the big arms out of the bullpen. The expectations change, and you can buckle under that pressure sometimes, where you feel like you're letting everyone down the minute you walk a hitter, and it just snowballs.
Those are certainly the stakes of this World Baseball Classic qualifier, and you know, this New Zealand team is trying to build a lot around its youth. Argentina has a really interesting mix of youth players and veteran players, and a foul tip gone on strikes as Max Brown, 2 gone here in the 8th.
And you can see this deceptive, over the top fastball down the strikes. There's no answer right now. Maxwell Brown hitting the 9-hole.
But like you said, I mean, for New Zealand, they're so reliant on this young talent as we go back to the top of the order. And one of those guys, Jason Matthews, just 25 years old and hanging on to a 1-0 lead. It's like you got a Fabergé egg that you're trying to protect.
Exactly.
But you get so anxious with it that you end up breaking it. And that's what happened in the bottom of the 7th for New Zealand. And on the flip side, this Argentina team, that is a mature lineup to be able to take the walks, take the hit by pitches, be smart on the base paths, do all the things you need to do to score the runs and take the lead. This Argentina team, we're seeing them for the first time on this WBC stage, but it shows you just how well developed this roster is.
Yeah, in games like this, if the score stays the same, 4-1, it's, you know, if New Zealand, Scott Campbell, you know you're better than this. This are these games that you go back and 6 months from now you'll talk about it and they'll haunt you a little bit because you know you had the ability to get deep into these qualifiers, get a chance to face in Nicaragua.
Three balls and a strike on Matthews. Now the count is full on him. Jose Mendoza, currently pitching in Stuttgart in Germany in the Bundesliga. He was actually born in Venezuela. This is an Argentina team, as this ball bounces foul at the last moment. Argentina team that lost the services of 5 players prior to the tournament with some visa issues, Venezuelan-born players who were unable to accompany them here. So playing with a little bit different looking roster than what maybe Rolando Arnedo and his squad would have anticipated, but they have been really impressive. And like I said, just very composed. They've played as though they've been on this stage before, even though it's their first time.
Yeah, for sure. And again, facing Panama last night, they can rock you a little bit. Start to second guess where you're at talent-wise. Man, that bottom of the 7th, I know we're talking a lot about New Zealand beating yourself, but you said it too, grinding at bats. See teams in the big league, some of the best teams on the planet, you know, in the AL East, the Yankees, the Red Sox, some of the most pitches per plate appearance. The Seattle Mariners, that's a big part of their success. They're not going to, you know, put up the most amount of hits and the most amount of slug, you know, in Major League Baseball, but they will make you work and they'll just add base runners over and over if you are not throwing strikes.
Eduardo Zurbriggen's at bat was really the prime example of that. He went down 0-2, came back to work a bases loaded walk. Just really impressive stuff, 1 through 9 for Argentina tonight. Hits are even in this game, 5-5, just like they were in New Zealand's first game. Hits were even 10-10 in that one, but New Zealand took a 12-7 loss to Brazil. And a ground ball out to short. Kicked briefly there by Teixeira, and he's not going to be able to recover in time.
And on the flip side, look at this inning. I mean, you know, Liam Hunt getting thrown out second base, killing that base runner. Now all of a sudden you get another break. You have to maximize. You just have to keep putting base runners on. We sound like broken records, but this is what it comes down to. Apply some pressure on that pitching staff on the other side. Make him get into that bullpen. Test that depth a little bit.
And here is Nico Puaka Grego. Maybe the most dynamic bat in this New Zealand order. And the Diamond Blacks need him right now. First pitch is up and away to him, 1-0. Puaka Grego singled to right center field in the first inning and then grounded out to first base each of his next 2 times up. 1-0. Swings and drives it in the air, but got under it to right. In comes Robles to make the grab, and Argentina is 3 outs away from moving on to Tuesday. Our score through 7.5 is Argentina 4 and New Zealand 1 in game number 6 of the 2022 WBC Qualifier from Panama City. Well, this feels like a play that may be a pivotal one when we look back at the final analysis of this game. A leadoff base hit up the left field line for Daniel Lamb Hunt, who tried to stretch a single into a double, got thrown out at second, and that seemed like it kind of killed the momentum in the 8th inning for New Zealand before it could even get started.
And you can just see the awkward slide. He knew that, you know, he was dead to rights at second base. So straight away, you see that frustration just kind of taking his moment there at second base, laying on the ground, just knowing how that was just an absolute rally killer after that single.
First pitch fastball to get things started here in the bottom half of the 8th inning.
Ben Thompson, who started this qualifier, started the game in game 1, back on the mound. Command issues, gave up that 4th spot in the first inning. 92s, 93s.
94 to get things started, and then 93 coming back. Yeah, a little bit of an issue command-wise back on Friday in the opener of this World Baseball Classic qualifier for him.
And you can see, too, we talked about some of the pitching depth and how you structure. This is a situation where you have Ben Thompson who can come back. You have, obviously, Connor Gleason, guys who I guarantee you Scott Campbell would have looked at and said, you know what, try and keep it. If we get a little deeper, you got to live to fight another situation. You're down 4-1, 8th inning, just empty the tank. We'll figure it out tomorrow.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Harris, who came in as a pinch hitter last inning. 1-2. 94 again for ball 2.
Staying with that fastball, too. Ben Thompson just took a little too long to get comfortable in that first game. Brazil jumping all over him.
Yeah, didn't make it through the first inning in that game. as Brazil got 4 in the first. New Zealand responded with 3. Big swing and a miss for strike 3, out number 1.
You see him staying with that fastball. You go back into this pitch sequence. First of all, we see that good velocity, get ahead in the count. Foul ball, trying to catch up to it. Missed with the fastball. Missed again, but staying with that fastball, sinking underneath that barrel. Good pitch.
So 1 gone. Here's the third baseman, Andres Kim. Kim was the one to load the bases last inning when he was hit by a pitch in the left arm, following the leadoff walks for Lucas Nakandakari and Jose Jerez. Thompson deals. That's up and in for ball 1. That is a dejected bullpen and dugout on the third base side, and a hive of activity over on the first base side for Argentina. They are 3 outs away from setting up a matchup with Nicaragua coming up on Tuesday. High hopper over the third. Tough play on the short hop. Great pick by Chayton Krause for the second out.
Yeah, really good pick. Coming up, throwing a bullet. First base. And you talked about this dugout too. On either side, the momentum swing. You know, you had that big home run to center field by that man, Chayton Krause, the third baseman. All of a sudden, we had a light show in the stadium. You know, broke this 0-0 tie. Middle of the game, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You got some good arms coming out of the bullpen. And the wheels fell off in that 7th inning.
So 2 outs, bases empty. Lucas Stallman, who brought in the first run of the game for New Zealand, or for Argentina, with a little bloop single to center field last inning. Fouls it into the screen. Stallman's had a good night out of the 9 spot. Singled in the 5th, that RBI single in the 7th. He struck out in the 2nd, but 2 for 3 and trying to start a 2-out charge for Argentina here in the 8th. This game was scoreless through 5. Chayton Krause, a 2-out solo homer to center field in the 6th. That gave Argentina a 1-run deficit to try to fight back from, and they did so in the bottom of the 7th. 4 runs home in that inning to erase New Zealand's 1-0 lead. And Argentina sitting pretty right now with a 4-1 advantage here in the 8th.
New Zealand, that one last chance, that 9th inning, generates something.
1-1 at 91 in there for strike 2. Looking ahead to the top of the 9th, it will be the heart of the order for New Zealand: Krause, Kennelly, and Bishop. Thompson set, 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss as he blows it by him at 93 miles an hour. An emphatic 1-2-3-8 for Ben Thompson. We go to the 9th. Argentina trying to move on to Tuesday. Come on back to Panama City. Top of the 9th inning, these fans here in Panama City have been treated to a fun one tonight. It was a 1-0 lead going to the bottom of the 7th for New Zealand. Argentina scored 4 there. And as they dance their way into the 9th, it'll be 3, 4, and 5 for New Zealand to try to keep their World Baseball Classic hopes alive. Back at Estadio Rod Carew, Tyler Mon, Ryan Rowland-Smith. Potentially the final 3 outs of New Zealand's WBC season. And the leadoff man here is Chayton Krause, who did this back in the 6th inning.
This is absolute blast. Breaking this 0-0 tie. But man, just not enough. You felt like it was enough too. You know, you see Elliot Johnston coming out of the bullpen. But just things unraveling in that 7th inning.
The thing that really tells the story as that pitch bends outside the zone 1 and 2. Elliot Johnston and Ryota Okamoto combined to throw 37 pitches, 14 for strikes. Swinging a shot in the air to right field. Good contact, but it's right at the waiting Matias Robles. 1 up, 1 down here in the 9th.
Yeah, that's tough. You make contact like that to right field, just right at someone. Just need base runners, get something started.
So 1 gone. That'll bring up Sam Kennelly, still in search of his first hit of this qualifier. Kennelly's parents, both born in New Zealand, went on vacation to Western Australia in the 1980s. They loved it so much they moved there, started a family, had 5 boys. 4 of them at one time signed simultaneously to professional baseball contracts in the United States. Tim, Matt, Josh, and Sam. Sam now playing for the country of his parents' birth, where he still has a ton of family. And he'll foul that one off himself, 1-1. 4 runs, 5 hits, 1 error for Argentina. 1 run, 5 hits, no errors for New Zealand. But the big story in this one, the walks. And the hit batsman.
Yeah,
3 hit batsmen and 5 walks between the 6th and 7th for New Zealand pitching.
Straight lack of command, losing that strike zone. So Ryan Sanders, how dominant he was once he got comfortable. Set that tone you talked about early in the game. This is tough. Team New Zealand, let's not forget too, they had to deal with a pandemic. They couldn't travel a whole lot, 2020 and onwards, and waited 5.5 years to get this chance again.
One ball, 2 strikes on Kennelly. 2nd inning work for Jose Mendoza. The final line for Federico Robles, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He finished at 83 pitches, 58 strikes. He was brilliant today. Argentina does have an arm ready in the bullpen down the right field line if they need him. But this is Mendoza's 9th, and he's already gotten the first out, 1 strike away from getting the second. 1-2 to Kennelly. High, 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Caught, strike 3. Broke that one in there at 72 miles an hour on the off speed, and Argentina is 1 out away.
Just too close to take. Right now, you're down 2 strikes. You got to see something middle of the plate. Got to swing that bat.
And we'll get a pinch hitter into the batter's box for New Zealand here, in the person of Andrew Mark, who got the start back on Friday as the designated hitter, earned a walk in 4 plate appearances. He'll bat in place of Tawera Bishop. Mark, born in Auckland, plays for the Auckland Tuatara in the Australian Baseball League. First pitch to him fouled, 0-1.
And coming out swinging too. You mentioned drawing that walk in that first game. Fresh off the bench, taking any time.
Our Home plate umpire Francisek Perbil giving Lucas Nakandakari a moment to compose himself after he caught a bit of that foul ball. Mark unable to hold up. It's 0-2.
Yeah, right here, you're going to get that steady dose of breaking balls right now. Down 0-2. 3-run lead.
Oh-2 pitch. Just off the outside corner. Andrew Mark was trying to call time there. He was not ready for that pitch. And that thing just missed.
He's been commanding that ball since he came into this game, and that's the tough part.
1-2 right side. It's off the heel of the glove of Cipriota, who recovers with the bare hand, and Argentina is moving on to Tuesday, staying alive in the loser's bracket.
Man, what a game. You go back to that 7th inning, the wheels fall off for this New Zealand pitching staff. But I've got to give it to Argentina, man. Some of those at-bats they had, they were patient. Let the game come to them just a little bit. They were down 1-0, deflated. They weren't getting a whole lot going offensively. Here they are, getting another chance facing Nicaragua on Tuesday.
What an impressive comeback win for Argentina. And they are off to battle Nicaragua coming up on Tuesday in a matchup that is going to be really, really good here in the afternoon game at Estadio Rod Carew. And for New Zealand, a bitter defeat, a team that took a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the 7th inning and then just handed away too many opportunities. As we welcome you back into the broadcast booth for the final time on a Sunday evening alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Maund. Ryan, it's just a case of missed chances for New Zealand and giving away too much, and for Argentina capitalizing on the opportunities they got.
They really did, and you look at this game, obviously the pitching was brilliant, the starting pitching, but what a heartbreaker for New Zealand in that 7th inning. Get your 2 best bullpen arms when you're talking about Connor Gleason and Elliot Johnstone. You're really relying heavily on them to get you those big innings, and they just weren't able to find the strikes, and Argentina capitalized, and you see a 4-1 Argentina getting a chance to play Nicaragua. 4
runs in the bottom of the 7th inning for Argentina. They are off to Tuesday, as noted, to square off with Nicaragua, and we'll take a look at the bracket for this final 2 days of our competition here for the World Baseball Classic Qualifier in Panama City, as 2 more games coming up on Tuesday with a ticket to the World Baseball Classic on the line. In the opener, the host nation Panama set to match up with Brazil and Argentina. The Gauchos will try to keep themselves aligned once more against Nicaragua. That's all coming up on Tuesday. Off day tomorrow for all of us. For Ryan Rowland-Smith and our producer Tim Fryer, my name is Tyler Maund. We'll talk to you on Tuesday for more from Panama City.